What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Planet podcast. I'm joined once again by Daniel today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brandon?
Not too bad, man. It's another day to talk sports. So on today's episode, we got the Jalen Hurts extension, we got NBA playoffs, and we'll finish the episode with our predictions for the remaining NBA awards that haven't been awarded yet. So, like I mentioned, we'll start off real quick with Jalen Hurts extension. The Eagles recently extended him with a 4-year, $255 million contract. That makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. And I don't want to sound too biased because obviously I'm an Eagle fan, and I'm not like for me personally. I think he's earned this contract because we've seen not only his progression, but like how well he's led the Eagles, whether it's on the field, off the field. But I don't know if you have anything to say before moving on with this one.
I think it's well deserved. Just looking at last year, he's one of the best QBs, if not the best QB in the league. Led him
Mm-hmm.
all the way to a Super Bowl appearance when no one really expected him in the beginning, and as they took off, everyone saw they were on a trajectory to make it there. Obviously, lost in Super Bowl, but as him starting for the Eagles, they're 14-1. Last year, he averaged
Mm-hmm.
67% pass completion, and he's a great rushing QB as well. So I think it's well deserved, and I'm happy to see him get his bag. And little do you know, I'm also the Eagles is my second team because of Kobe.
Oh.
So LA Rams my
There it
first
is.
one. I go
Uh,
for all LA teams, and then when they were Rams got out, Eagles is my second team merely just because that's Kobe's football team, so that's my team. So I'm happy. I think it's well deserved,
mhm.
and the contracts in the NFL are starting to look more like the NBA. So looks like the NFL is catching up and making a lot more money as well now. So I think it's good for everyone.
So you said you're a fan of LA, all LA teams, LA except for soccer, right? You're a fan of the Carson team. I just want to make sure before moving on.
Yeah, the
That is the
Carson team
Galaxy.
exactly.
No, jokes aside, no. Back to the Jalen Hurts extension. Obviously, I'm not gonna be biased with this. I do think he earned this contract, but I'm not gonna say is he the best player in the league? No. Is he one of the best quarterbacks? Yes, though. Because obviously, if you were to say anybody who would be the highest paid player right now, you would obviously go straight to Patrick Mahomes. He's won two Super Bowls. Unfortunately, the one we just saw against the Eagles. But
Mhm.
that man, he's on pace to become the goat, then one of the next goats. Behind Tom Brady. So I'm not going to be biased and say that Hurts isn't is excuse me. I'm not going to say that Hurts is the best player in the league, but he definitely is one of the best. And I feel like this contract is just based off the market now. So it's all like uh, Mahomes got paid and reset the market for the quarterbacks. So now that teams are making more money or giving out bigger contracts, obviously this is where Hurts lands. And I feel like if anything, this will be better for Lamar Jackson in terms of his guaranteed money. And if we could see even Joe Burrow come out with the Cincinnati Bengals and get an even bigger contract after this. But like you already alluded to it, the Super Bowl. And it's all like, I know fans are going to say, oh, well, he fumbled. Okay, he had one crucial fumble. Yes, it did. It was returned for a pick six, but in the Super Bowl, he had 304 passing yards, 70 rushing yards, one passing touchdowns, zero interceptions, and three rushing touchdowns. That was the three rushing tied a Super Bowl record for in a game itself. But all I can really say is about Jalen Hurts is this man, he gives it his all. And now that we're on the contract, a lot of people are saying that he might not really be worth it, right? But they're going to be saying they're paying him this much money, that all of that. But all I have to say is that our GM, Howie Roseman, is a cap god. This man knows how to work the cap. So I have a list right here from Twitter, and it shows the cap hits over the next two seasons. All right, I just mentioned Patrick Mahomes, right? So he's at 86.4 million. Dak Prescott 86.3 million. Deshaun Watson 83 million. Matthew Stafford 69.5 million. Josh Allen 65.2 million. Kyler Murray 67.9 million. Daniel Jones 66 million, and the list goes on. And then Jalen Hurts with a 19.7 million cap hit, which means how much of that of his salary will go towards the team's cap that for that particular season. So over the next 2 seasons, he only has a cap hit of 19.7. So I just want to get back real quick to this Daniel Jones. It's all like that's crazy because we just saw Daniel Jones get a 4-year, 160 million extension with the New York Giants, and I'm not gonna. I'm like sure, like how I just said, market value. That's where he landed, right? So just like the cap hits. Let us fast forward to 2026. Okay, Jalen Hurts will have a 31.77 million cap hit, right? And then if we go to Daniel Jones for the Giants, 56.5 million. So people can say whatever they want about this contract. I'm not going to be biased or any of that, but in terms of the cap, the Eagles are going to pretty much front load it, and then but cap hit later on, obviously they can restructure it, and then Howie will be a genius again and find a way to restructure that later. So anything else you have to say about Hurts before moving on?
I just want to say also in the Super Bowl, he completed 71% of his passes, which was the
Mm-hmm.
most out of all his playoff games. So he did play a great game. He had that crucial fumble like we're all talking about. But also keep in mind that this man's 24 years old. He's
Mm-hmm.
that young. It was only his third year in the league. Didn't play much his first year. Second year started coming up, and then he showed in his third year how much he has progressed. And uh, you could see he's like on the same trajectory as Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes, young, and he had that spurt right from the beginning. He could be like, oh, this guy could be the next best QB. And I think, not saying Jalen Hurts could be that, but there's also I wouldn't say there's no possibility that he can't. So I want to say I think it was a good move and well deserved, and I'm happy to see the man get paid. That's
Definitely.
about it.
Real quick. Sorry, just real quick before we move on. I don't know if you're too familiar with his story, but just a quick summary, just in case. Hurts was benched during the 2018 national championship game, right? But like I was talking about earlier, he's a leader on and off the field. So I just want to show you this quick video. This is after he got benched in the championship game, but he obviously got Tua Tagovailoa. He comes in to take over the second half and leads the team back to the title, right? But this is how Jalen Hurts reacted to it because you could tell the reporters trying to get like a little sound bite out of him to like run with, you know. But Jalen Hurts isn't that type. So watch. I just want to show you this video real quick.
Jalen, you've just been shaking your head. You've had that smile on your face. Your reaction when you found out Tua was going to start the second half, honestly.
He was going to step in and do his thing. You know, we have a lot of guys in the QB room that play really well, and he stepped in and did his thing. Did his thing for the team.
In every offensive huddle, you were right there next to him throughout the second half and overtime. What was your message to him?
Ball. Play your game. Ball. You know, he's destined for stuff like this. He's built for stuff like this. He has the it factor, and I'm so happy for him, happy for this team.
What does it mean to you to be a national champion?
It's unbelievable. I dreamed about this.
Congratulations, Jalen.
Thank you.
You see, so that's following a game where you get benched. Not only is it a regular game, it's the national championship game. And he had nothing bad to say about his teammate, nothing bad to say about the team. All he was happy about was that they were able to get it done. So, like, that's just to show you the type of player that Jalen Hurts is. And then, like, he kind of had a little bit of that coming into the league because he was drafted in the second round by the Eagles. At that time, we had our franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. So it was somewhat of a questionable pick. But it just shows you the type of player Jalen Hurts is, type of person he is, because even like how you alluded to in his second season in the NFL, which was his first real season as a starter, he led the Eagles to the playoffs in a rebuilding year. So it just shows that even after that, he exceeded expectations again this year by leading them to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they fall short. But in the end, as an Eagle fan, I have nothing bad to say about Hurts, and I'm just excited for the next year. And
Yeah, I'll
then,
be honest. I didn't even know this history, like the backstory of the college game, because I don't follow too much of college football. But I will say, just from that video, that's like a class act, and he's supporting his team no matter, even if he got benched. But I guarantee you, him getting benched in that motivated him to be a lot better of a quarterback now, because just he probably never wants to feel that feeling again where he gets benched and he couldn't be out there for his
mm-hmm.
team. But he did make the most of getting benched and just supported his team from the sideline as well. So I think there's a lot of positives just from that where it motivated him and he was there to support his team as well.
Yep, definitely. Man, I have nothing bad to say about Jalen Hurts. Not that's not just me being an Eagle fan. That's just me being. I mean, I sound obviously I'm going to be biased, but Jalen Hurts is someone that's really hard to hate on, and if you do hate on him, it's most likely just because he's not on your team. But moving on. So going on to the NBA playoffs now. So we obviously we've had most. I think every series as of right now is at 2 games. So in the West, we have the first seeded Denver Nuggets taking on the 8 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. As of right now, Denver leads that series 2-0. We have the 4 seeded Phoenix Suns taking on the 5th seed Clippers. That series tied at 1-1. Sacramento's up 2-0 against Golden State. The Memphis Grizzlies are tied with the Lakers 1-1. So in the Western Conference, what series has stood out to you so far?
So far, I want to say the most exciting series has been the Kings Warriors.
Definitely.
I've enjoyed watching that. And that's the series I've actually watched the most of because I expected it to be a great first round. Kings are just playing out of their mind. They're showing everyone that no matter, even if everyone's saying they're young, inexperienced, that they deserve to be in the playoffs. And I think if they get past this first round, I could see them going all the way to the Western Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good they're looking. Uh, but we'll see. I mean, Lakers are going to have something to say about that. I don't know if we're going to get into Lakers. A little disappointed after the
Oh,
game
we can always
yesterday.
get it. Yeah.
We need to take care of business. They came out lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
AD, D'Lo looked like they forgot how to play basketball for us.
Yeah.
Give Memphis credit. They came out. They knew it was a must-win without Ja. So they came out. They sent double coverage, triple coverage towards AD, with forcing him into awkward situations. Every
Mm-hmm.
time he would turn towards basket, they would send another defender. He got blocked like I think 3 or 4 times yesterday. Um, yeah, but he just didn't come out like he really wanted it, and the whole team didn't come out with an intensity that I expected them to. But what the Lakers did do is they did split the first 2 games, and that was our hope. But when we saw
Yeah.
that Ja wasn't out, we all expected to go up 2-0 because we know after that it's a wrap. Like the series is done, we ain't losing. So now we're giving them a chance. As far as Denver and Wolves, I'll be honest, I've only watched a little bit of the first 2 games. I have Denver just winning in 5. I know I watched the end of part of game 2 where Murray
Mm-hmm.
was going off, I think, for 40 plus or 40
Yeah.
points, and I'm
Murray and
saying since
Edwards.
the beginning, if Murray plays like this, then Nuggets is going to be a team that everyone's going to be scared of because the only thing is they know once they get in the playoffs, Jokic can do his thing, but
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be that second guy? And Murray's been up and down this whole season, so he's like that, and he's playing like he did in the bubble a few years
Yeah.
back. The Nuggets are going to be a scary team.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the last series? Why am I blanking out?
Phoenix versus the
Oh,
Clippers.
Phoenix Clippers. I've actually been watching this series a lot too. Kawhi's looking like the best player on the court, and it just he doesn't have much help. He has a little bit of help, but he's obviously missing Paul George. They were able to steal one in Phoenix, which was pretty much their only goal. And
The Russell
now
Westbrook
Kawhi's
game.
out. Oh yeah, the Russell goes 3 for 19, but he
No,
has a
no,
great
don't even start
defensive
with
play at
that.
the
Yeah.
end.
It doesn't
He
matter.
had a great defensive play at the end, but damn, the 3 for 19, and they still somehow won. Kawhi just took them on their back and took them to the promised land for game 1. Game 2 was close until the fourth quarter. You see Phoenix kind of pull away.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Booker started getting going, but now that Kawhi is out next game, I think it's safe to say the Clippers might as well write them off because they're not. They don't have any
Yeah.
sense. They're
No
not going to
Kawhi,
go
no
anywhere
PG.
without Kawhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
basically done. If Kawhi's out the rest of the series, their series is done in 5. They're not winning another game.
Mm-hmm. No,
What
yeah.
about you?
So,
What do you see from the West?
real quick, so I'm just going to go through each series real quick. So that Denver Minnesota game that you were talking about, Murray went off for 40. Anthony Edwards had 41. So like how you
Mm-hmm.
alluded to, like the Murray bubble kind of performance. And in terms of the Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
Clippers game, I I wanted to point out the Russell Westbrook game. When I said the Russell Westbrook game, I didn't mean it as in the 3 for 19. Obviously, that's what everyone
Uh,
sees. Because when you're done, obviously, I'm not going to take that away from anyone. Because obviously, that is 3 for 19. It's terrible.
mm-hmm.
But if you don't watch the game, all you're going to say is Russell Westbrook 3 for 19, right? But if you actually did watch the game, didn't just watch the box score, you would see that
Mm-hmm.
final minute. that Russell Westbrook was the reason why the Clippers won Game 1. It's all like, so
Mm-hmm.
he caused Ayton to lose 2 potential offensive rebounds in the final minute, which kept the possession longer for the Clippers than they should have had it. Because are you telling me Russell Westbrook should be out rebounding DeAndre Ayton? Hell no. And then not only that, he had 2 clutch free throws during that final minute. And then what do we see on that, like towards like the end of the game? He's on Devin Booker, right? And like in a play that they're trying to get it to KD, but they're guarding him too well. So KD tells Booker, "You take it." So Booker drives in and then gets swatted by Russell Westbrook. What's the first thing that you see Devin Booker do? He doesn't try
Tries
like
to
letting the
the
ball go out. Yeah, exactly. Calls for a foul. And so while he's doing that, Westbrook's IQ is off the charts. So he sees that and then he throws the ball off Booker. So on the same play, he blocks him and created a turnover. So you can't, like, that hustle, you cannot coach. It's just something that players have. So Russell Westbrook has hustle. He plays with heart. And so you could say anything you want about his shooting, but like 3 of 19, we've heard Kobe before say, or I can't remember if it was Kobe or someone else, but it's all like, I'd rather go 0 for 20 than like 0 for 5, you know, because like that means I lost confidence in myself. That 3 for 19,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Westbrook isn't a shooter, but it shows that he never loses confidence in himself. And it's kind of just going back to Booker, man. It's all like, it's the playoffs. Just stop complaining like for like every little tic tac thing, you know. It's all like this kind. I'm sure you remember this. Like it kind of makes me like he should have been okay with getting doubled in that pickup game now, you know.
Let's go baseline. Middle. Go, Hey, bro, we not doubling an open gym, bro. Yeah, we are. I get that shit all season, bro. Come on, man. Let's work on our game, bro. Yeah, we are. Let's work on our game. Part of the game. Send it. Running doubling open gym? Yep.
It's all like, oh no, it's pickup. I get doubled throughout the season. It's like, okay, well, who cares? Well, we're here. He says we're here to work on our game, but it's all like, you see that, like, you're getting mad that somebody's defending you pretty well in the playoffs. The game gets called a little tighter, so they allow a little more defense. So it's all like, man, that's the first thing I realized. Aside from Westbrook playing great defense on Booker on that play, the first thing I realized was Booker immediately looks at the ref, and I'm like, bro, how are you going to do this? But it's like, I don't know. So obviously that series is tied 1-1 now, and Booker had a great game too, so he made up for it. But now moving on to Sacramento Golden State. Obviously Sacramento's up 2-0. What was your reaction to that Draymond Green stomping on Sabonis? Because now we see he got suspended for a game. Sabonis is I want to say he was questionable or doubtful for Game 3. And honestly, I don't know, man. What do you have to say? I didn't like it. What do you have to say?
So when I watched it, there's 2 things that I noticed. Sabonis, one, flopped and then initiated the contact. And yes, the retaliation is worse than the initial thing, so I could see why he got suspended. But I'm just one of those people, I hate when I see people flop, and I hate when people initiate it. And just because the retaliation's worse and that person's like warranted, like, oh, you should have controlled your emotions, like you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have stomped that. And I think the call in game where he kicked out flagrant 2 was the right call. Definitely need to be kicked out of the game. I think the suspension is definitely excessive, especially because they said, given his history, the magnitude of the stomp, and his antics after it. I don't think the antics were that bad. I mean, he just getting hyped, trying to get his team hyped because he knows he's getting kicked out, so he's trying to get his team hyped. And he's just like, he's not going and like, he's having the Kings fans cuss at him, flip him off, and he's just saying, yeah, like egging on. But he's not cussing at him, not doing anything. I mean, it's playoff basketball. It's been a great series, physical series, and I just don't think he should have been suspended. I think he was warranted the flagrant 2. But it just goes back to a lot of times when people retaliate, you always see the person who retaliates gets in trouble. So he should have known that, like, yo, like, given my history, given what I've already done, given I complain to the refs a lot, I shouldn't have these type of reactions. But I guess that's just the player he is, and he might cost his team another series. But I do think don't overlook that Sabonis flops and initiates contact first, and I hate flopping and starting something. It's just that part pissed me off too. So that's why I felt like the in-game call should have been enough. But I could see why other people said it warrants a suspension. I'm just one of those people that we want to see Draymond play in Game 3. And if it was a play where he just stomped on him, where there was no other contact, and he just initiated all and it was just all on Draymond, completely understand suspension, maybe even 2 games. But if you don't initiate it, I just don't think he should have been suspended. I feel like he already got his punishment, and this is just a little bit extra. But I mean, I'm not Adam Silver, I'm not Joe Dumars, so I can't really say
Yeah.
what is right. So
I don't know. According to Woj, the NBA said, "quote The suspension was based in part on Green's history of unsportsmanlike acts." So honestly, when I the first obviously initially watching the play happen, I was like, dude, he should be suspended for the rest of the series. I was like, because you're seeing it kind of quickly, you don't see everything going on, so all you see is him lift up his leg and kind of stomp on him live, right? And then so afterwards you get to see other angles. They kind of slow down. So I could see how it happened. And obviously Sabonis did flop into that. But I feel like Draymond could have still somehow avoided it. I feel like he did stomp on him. Obviously people are holding onto your leg. You don't want to fall over like that. That could cause an injury too. But I feel like Draymond just saw that kind of as an opportunity to be all right, you want to hold my leg? Watch this happen, because I felt like he lifts his leg and then actually comes down pretty hard on him. So obviously that was in the rib area, and I want to say so now he's out for Game 3, or should be out for Game 3 with the bruise. So I don't know, man. I feel like I initially, like I said, I wanted him to be out for the rest of the series just based off his previous antics. But after seeing the review, I was able to calm down a bit, and I think the suspension for Game 3 is enough, because it's we saw this happen in the finals when he missed Game 5 when they blew the 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers. It's we've seen this happen with Draymond before. It's all he's gonna say it's part of the game, he was just in the moment, whatever excuse he wants to use. But it's all we've seen this before, so that's what makes me feel he could have He could have handled this a little better. And then how you mentioned the antics afterwards when he was egging on the crowd, it's all I understand what you're trying to do, but it's a terrible look. It's all you're over here stomping on a guy's foot. He's yeah, come on, yeah, I got this. No. It's all I understand you're trying to mess with the crowd, motivate your team, but there's other ways to do that. So that's I just didn't like the way Sabonis obviously flops and all that, but I just don't like the way Draymond finish that series, I want to say.
I will say though, there's a few things. I feel like if he didn't do those antics after, that would have I feel like he wouldn't have got suspended, because it does make him look bad, and I see what he's trying to do, but it's just and I know for a fact he knows he whether he was gonna step on him regardless, he put a little extra in it. But I do think 100% that Sabonis is playing Game 3. The Kings handled it perfect by saying he's questionable, that they're getting X-rays and MRI.
Yeah.
They know the more that they put into that, and the league sees that, then they're gonna, because they want Draymond out Game 3. They want him out. So their Kings played a good part in helping him get suspended by saying, "Oh, we're doing MRI, we're doing X-rays. Oh, now he's questionable." Sabonis is playing Game 3. He's not missing it, and I'll bet on that too. He's playing it, so he did play a factor in it. And I will say the flop too is a little bit dangerous, because I've seen a lot of people, when they fall into opponents back of their knees, that's how they hyperextend knees.
Yeah.
I hate flopping, and it just pisses me off. So that's why I'm a little bit biased on it, saying none of this would have happened if you don't flop, grab someone's leg. But then Draymond's also just dumb and wants to be excessive and yell at the crowd after, and that's I guarantee if he just stomped and after that he left it alone and just walked and maybe just said, "Oh, I could have handled this differently" in the press conference, because even in the press conference he was kind of arrogant towards the commentator or the reporters when they're asking him. So if he just handled just slightly different, I feel like he wouldn't have got suspended. But since he's going crazy after, yelling at people, and the reporters is giving him arrogant responses, then I feel like that's why he got suspended. But I wanted to see him in Game 3, so now I wanted this to go 7 games, and if Warriors don't win this next one, the series is a wrap. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Honestly, and we were wrong about it. We in our predictions last week we said we both chose Warriors, right? I
chose Warriors in 7.
Yeah, exactly. You chose Warriors in 7. Yeah. I want to say I chose them in 6. and it's all like
Mm-hmm.
I did not underestimate. I wasn't underestimating Sacramento. I just felt like the Warriors championship pedigree and all that, they had the experience. I thought the playoffs would have gotten to the Kings. Did I think that they were a worse team? No, I just thought the experience would be a big factor, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
moving on to the Lakers series versus the Memphis Grizzlies, two things I want to touch on real quick. Obviously, you said it earlier. We got the split, and it's all like
Mm-hmm.
any team that starts the playoffs on the road. What do you always want? At least a split. But since we won Game 1, Ja gets hurt, and we should be able to win Game 2. We were like, obviously they go down by 15 at halftime, but it's all like the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers were in it for the majority of the game, and they just couldn't close it out. But just going back to the Ja thing real quick, I'm sure you saw it. Most Laker fans have seen it by now. It's all like the switch up of Charles Barkley. On April 6th, he's talking crap about the Lakers. 10 days later, after the Ja incident, he's over here like, oh, the Lakers have the easiest road to the finals or whatever, you know? So just
Mm-hmm.
in case you haven't seen it, I'll show you right now.
The Lakers ain't
Watch too
gonna
much
make no
TV.
run.
Lakers are making a run right now. They
They
went
what?
from not being in the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Hey, let me
and
tell you
then
something. And
everybody came
Kawhi Leonard
healthy.
ran them out the building
No,
last.
they went from not being in. They were 13. They're at 7. They're making a run.
Yeah, and that's Kawhi,
That's a run.
Kawhi sent him a message last night. He's the king of LA.
Play in the play-in rather than
First of all,
avoid that.
you're just wrong because if you actually look at it now, you says, damn, the Lakers, that was the easiest path to the conference finals, and you're gonna see because they're gonna be in the conference finals. So, but the Clippers played their starters. I said, man, they could lose this game and be in the Lakers situation, but they really want to play the Suns because they played the last game of the regular season. And I said, hey, I'd rather be in the play-in than play one bad team at home.
You're the only person who would want to be in the.
Well, ask the Lakers how they feel now. Ask the Lakers how they feel now.
Well, they feel good right now.
Yeah, they damn sure. And the Clippers got a tougher road because they're going to have to go through the Suns and
You're
them.
going to have to play good teams if you're going to get to where you're going to be.
So you see the switch up right there, right? Within a week to 2 weeks difference. One after the Laker Clipper game where they got destroyed, and then the other one following Game 1 of like the NBA playoffs. So they go from this team sucks to they have the easiest path to the Western Conference Finals. So it's all like it just shows that like no matter what the Lakers do, they will always be hated on. Obviously, we knew that, but there will be an excuse for anything that happens throughout this playoffs. So I'm like before the series even started, before Ja got hurt, I chose the Lakers to win, and obviously now they should. I wouldn't say easily win, but their chances just went up, right? And one of the more annoying things about this now is like now that Jaw's out, obviously like you have Desmond Bain stepping up. Freaking Xavier Tillman is the reason why they won yesterday. But somebody else, Dylan Brooks, is acting like he's the one that's over here like doing all the work. And I'm sure you saw his quote where he said about LeBron, I don't care. He's old. I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40. That's Dylan Brooks on his confrontation with LeBron, right? And then I saw a stat saying it looks like LeBron hasn't had a problem being defended by Dylan Brooks over the last 2 games. So the stats by SportsCenter, and it says LeBron James with Dylan Brooks as the primary defender. 26 points, 61% field goal percentage, almost 43% from 3, and 0 turnovers. So it's like Dylan Brooks is being so annoying right now. It's like how are you going to talk this talk when you're over here getting worked by LeBron? And like what do you have to say about this Dylan Brooks too, or anything in the
Real quick,
series?
I just want to touch up on like the Chuck thing. Chuck is definitely he's funny as hell. He's an entertainer, but he's just a big Laker hater. So everyone just needs to know he just don't like the Lakers. I don't know what he got against us, but he's just a Laker hater. And you could see the switch up. But I will say he's funny. Like he just says some wild shit. And I feel like people got to realize people on TNT. I want to say two of them are definitely there mainly for entertainment, which is Shaq and Chuck.
And Chuck,
yeah, and then Ernie and why am I blanking on the last person?
Kenny Smith.
Kenny, yeah, Ernie and Kenny are. You could kind of see they like to deep dive into like more of the analytics and understand the game, and then Chuck and Shaq are just there for entertainment. So as long as people know that, then they're just saying stuff for views, and it get more attention.
They're
As
just,
far
yeah.
as the Dylan Brooks situation, I feel like he's trying to get in LeBron's head, and he wants
Hmm.
LeBron to be our primary scorer. And I feel like he's playing like a long game. So they know if LeBron's our primary scorer, then AD doesn't get enough attention. AD
Hmm.
needs to be our number one option this
Definitely.
series. I feel like he's saying that to maybe try to trick LeBron, like, oh, now LeBron's gonna go off for 40. If LeBron's going off for 40, still feel like we need AD to be our primary scorer because it's going to be a hard series to win if we're only depending on LeBron's score. So I feel like he's playing a
Hmm.
long game, and also Dylan Brooks, he loves the attention. He loves being in the media. He knows that
Hmm. He knows what he's
he
doing.
doesn't really back up what he says on the court, but everyone likes because he just wants the attention. He's kind of like a lesser version of Draymond Green, because Draymond Green actually plays defense. So
Yeah.
he's doing it for the media to get his teammates hyped, and he's that type of player. And that's just who he is. But I hope LeBron dunks all over his ass and
Yes.
take this
And
series.
stay.
And we're now
Yeah.
should motivate our team to fucking come out with some intensity now. They should
Hmm.
take that and just use it as intensity. Be like, oh yeah, we're coming out and we're stomping on them. And
Yeah.
hopefully they use it as motivation as he's trying to motivate his team. So
Yeah. Staples is gonna go crazy if LeBron dunks on Brooks. That'd be crazy. But just real
yeah,
quick before moving on, Anthony Davis needs to do better. He only had 13 points on 4 of 14 field goal percent. 4 of 14 field goal shooting. Sorry. Sure, he had 9 rebounds. He's doing pretty well on the defensive end. He's averaging
mhm.
6 blocks through the first 2 games, but on the offense, we like if he's not trying to get his if he's not producing on offense, the Lakers aren't going to do well. And it's like real quick. Also, shout out Austin Reeves. Shout out Rui Hachimura. They went off game 1. Reeves had a kind of colder game 2. He 12 points off 5 of 12 shooting, but Rui had another decent game off the bench. First game 29, game 2 20 points on 7 of 12 shooting. So I'm glad. Like we were talking about it last week, I want to say, or a couple weeks ago, can't remember. About how Rui was a great pickup at the trade, like around the trade deadline. And it's like we're seeing it now in the playoffs. Wide depth is key. Like when when your stars aren't playing well, you have someone like Rui to come off the bench, play some good defense, and help you score. So that's all I gotta say after this series or moving on to the game 3. Lakers should win games 3 and 4 at home, especially if Jaw's not playing because I believe the Lakers have the better team regardless. But Memphis, I don't know, that team plays well together. So and they know that they have the target on their backs. They're gonna be the bad guys, the villains. They don't care. So it's all like Lakers should be able to win this. But like how we saw in game 2, they started off super slow and try turning on and off the switch whenever they want. They can't do that because if maybe they'll be able to get past Memphis, but if they try that in the next round against Sacramento or the Golden State, if they come back, it's all like, no, you can't do that with the teams as you move on. Just get there, take care of
Mhm.
business, and move on quickly. So, anything else you have to say about this Lakers series before moving on to the Eastern
Also, I
Conference?
don't let D'Lo slide full out of
That
ass
too.
game,
Yeah.
both on but offensive and defensive. Use a liability on defense,
Mm-hmm.
and they kept him in at the end of the fourth to close out the game, which I thought Beasley was actually having a decent game, and D'Lo ain't even being our primary ball handler when he's in. He's playing off ball, so I'd rather have Beasley in because he was actually hitting some shots. But this goes back to, remember we talked about Vando and Rui, like
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
should start, and we kind of agreed on Vando. I wouldn't be
Uh-huh.
surprised if Rui starts either in game 3 because he's been balling, and Vando hasn't been the best defensively, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rui starts. And Ham needs to grow up and play fucking Mo Bamba when
Yeah.
AD's on the bench because we have no rim
Mm-hmm.
protection. A
Yeah.
7-footer who could stretch the floor, give us rim protection. We're getting
Mm-hmm.
destroyed by Tillman and Jackson in the paint, and you have a 7-footer who's versatile on the bench that comes in. And then
Yeah.
lastly, I don't want to see Troy Brown play anymore.
I was waiting for
I'm over that guy.
that.
We have Wenyen. So I know he wants size. Play Wenyen
Yeah.
Gabriel at the forward position. Wenyen Gabriel he's gonna at least put in more effort, and I feel like he's gonna at least produce
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit more than Troy Brown. Because you see, he puts in Troy Brown for 10 minutes. He's like, oh, this guy's not doing much, and doesn't play the
Yeah.
rest of the game. I'm like, you have a few other pieces you could play. Especially
Mm-hmm.
last night too. I know Lonnie Walker doesn't play, and we've talked about him in the past, and I could see
Mm-hmm.
why. But when Schroeder and D'Lo are playing bad, and you kind of need another guard who can handle the ball, I think
Yeah,
that could have been a perfect time to just throw in Lonnie for 5 minutes, just see if he's able to do something, because D'Lo and Dennis were not doing anything for us
yeah,
at the point guard position. So I feel like Ham just needs to. He's not coaching well, and it's actually hurting us in this series. And we may be able to get through the series, but when you get later in the playoffs, if your rotations are good, and you aren't making adjustments, utilizing the pieces that you need, seeing that we're getting outscored in the paint, you're not playing your 7-footer, then it's gonna be bad for us. Which is why you don't
definitely.
hire a rookie coach to lead a team to a championship. So hopefully the
It's,
front office realizes that.
yeah,
That's about
man.
it.
But yeah,
That's
yeah.
my rant on the Lakers.
Tillman first game 2 points, second game 22, and then on this last game, freaking Russell Westbrook. Sorry, I just saw Russell D'Angelo Russell, I should say. Yeah, he had a bad game too. What was it? 5 points on 2 of 11 shooting. But I think hopefully
Yeah.
being at Staples, that'll help them get the energy of the home crowd. Maybe they'll buy it, like be able to draw energy from the crowd, and that's what helps them get going. But that's all I really have to say for this one. Moving on to the East, I'm just going to go through this a little quicker. The Milwaukee Bucks, obviously taking on Miami Heat, they win Game 1. The Heat, I should say, on the road in a game where we saw Giannis get hurt, but the Bucks came back Game 2. They kind of steamrolled through them to show them why they're the number 1 seed, and trying to
Mm-hmm.
prove that maybe Game 1 was a fluke for them. Obviously, Tyler Hero got hurt too. But I still see Milwaukee taking this one even without Giannis if he doesn't come back for the next couple games or so. And then we also had Cleveland versus New York. I had originally said Cleveland in 6. I think I'm going to say Cleveland in 7 now because obviously New York took the first game, and I can see
That's
this
what
kind of
I
going.
said.
Yeah, I could like obviously Cleveland came back and played way better in Game 2, but that first game was pretty close. Cleveland could have taken it as well, but the Knicks ended up pulling that one out. Philadelphia, Brooklyn. Obviously, the Sixers lead 2-0. Brooklyn had the lead for a little bit in the second game, but did we really ever think that they would win? I don't think so. This one I had it as a sweep before the playoffs started. We'll see how if Brooklyn's able to win a game once it shifts to their arena. And then the Celtics versus the Hawks. The Celtics lead that one 2-0. They won both games pretty easily, both by 13 points. For the Hawks, I want to say DeJounte Murray has been their best player, and Trae Young. I like how they're starting with Murray as the main ball handler, and then Trae Young as the off ball. But I don't know. Maybe that's kind of leading into Trae Young's struggles because he's struggling from field goal, like with his field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. His turnovers are high, and as of right now, he has like a negative 16 when he's on the court. Obviously, they're all going to have negatives since they're losing, but negative 16 is pretty high when you're the star. So, anything you have to say about these Eastern Conference ones?
Um, the Bucks. I will say the only thing I disagree, if Giannis doesn't come back, I feel like the Heat could take this series. But I do think Giannis is gonna come back.
Okay.
It was a contusion. But that series, I don't know if Giannis doesn't come back. I feel like I don't know. They might be able to pull it out because I think the Heat are still a good team, but they did lose Tyler Hero, which is their second best scorer. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like it might go the distance, might go 7 games, and I feel like if Giannis is still not back, it could go either way in that 7th game. But if Giannis comes back, which I think he will next game or the one after, Bucks easily taking that. We all know Sixers and Celtics are winning those series. I think you have
Yeah.
sweeps for both of them, and I have game 5s for both of them. They could be sweeps looking at these first 2 games. And what was our
Mm.
last Eastern Conference teams?
Cleveland, New York.
Oh yeah, and then Cleveland, New York. Yeah, like I said, now you agree with me going
Yeah,
7.
7.
Great
Yeah,
series so far.
definitely.
I That's the most exciting series on the Eastern Conference, and yeah, so far it's been a lot of good basketball. I hate to see injuries in the first
Mm.
round or at all. So hopefully, at least some of these injuries, people get healthy and could come back, and we could get some great basketball.
Then moving on to the NBA awards. So obviously today, just a little FYI, today is April 20th. As of right now, there's been 3 awards awarded so far. The 4th one is supposed to be awarded after we're done recording this one today at 4 o'clock Pacific time.
Mm-hmm.
So for that one, we're going to give our prediction. So if we're right, if we're wrong, it doesn't matter because it was just a prediction and it hasn't been awarded yet. So for the Defensive Player of the Year, aka the Hakeem Olajuwon Trophy, because now all of the trophies have names. It was Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, Brooke Lopez, Milwaukee Bucks, and Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers as the 3 finalists. And obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. won that one. That's who I would have voted for as well. He led the league with 3 blocks, allowed a league best 46.9% field goal percentage at the rim. And he's also now with this award, he's the second Grizzly to win the award since but he's the second Grizzly to win the award after Marc Gasol did 10 years ago. So anything you want to say about this one before moving on?
Say it was a close race between Brooke Lopez and Jaren Jackson, but like you said, I think it was well deserved, and I think they got the award right. That's about it. But it was definitely close 1 and 2 between Brooke and Jackson, I would say.
And then this next award, it's the first one. So the winner of this award is the inaugural winner of the Jerry West Trophy, which is the Clutch Player of the Year. It's kind of weird award, but I mean, it's something that they created this year, you know. So we had the 3 finalists were Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat, DeMar DeRozan of the Chicago Bulls, and De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings, with De'Aaron Fox winning this award. This one's kind of like straightforward, you know. It's a Clutch Award, which is clutch time. Clutch time is defined as the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter or overtime with the scores within 5 points. So De'Aaron Fox led the 3. All of them ranked 1, 2, and 3, being De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler, in terms of points in the clutch. So De'Aaron Fox with 194, DeMar DeRozan 159, and Jimmy Butler with 151. So I feel like this one's kind of like straightforward. Whoever has the most points in clutch time wins it. I don't really see how else you can do it unless they try adding defensive metrics or something like that, you know? So anything you have to say about this one?
Also taking the fact maybe like the team's record as well. Kings got a better record than the Heat and the Bulls, so those clutch points are leading to wins, which I think is also should be looked at as well. But yeah, it's an easy metric to see who has the most in the final 5 or most points.
And then the next award was Coach of the Year, aka the Red Auerbach Trophy. This one was between Mike Brown of the Sacramento Kings, Oklahoma City Thunder coach Mark Daigneault. Honestly, I probably butchered that. And Boston Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla. I could see the cases one might make for the Oklahoma City and Boston Celtics coaches, but obviously Mike Brown wins this one for unanimous decision, and that's who I would have voted for as well because he led Sacramento to the playoffs for the first time since 2016, and he also helped them improve their record by 18 games. So last season they were 30-52, which was 12th in the Western Conference and last in their division, the Pacific Division. And this year, they increased by 18 games, like I just said, and they finished 48-34, which was good for 3rd in the West and 1st in the division. So I feel like this one was one of the easier awards to give out because you saw everybody making fun of Mike Brown, being like, "Oh, how are you going to go from the Warriors to the Sacramento Kings? You're going to go from winning to poverty, light the beam." Everybody making fun of it, you know. And it's like now he's about to knock out his former team, possibly. Is there anything you have to say about this one?
This was easy, well-deserved. Mike Brown really turned this team around, and I feel it was an easy, like you said, unanimous. Also, just want to say, worst coach of the year, Darvin Ham, and then that's it.
Yeah. It's the next award that I was mentioning earlier, the Sixth Man of the Year, a.k.a. the John Havlicek Trophy. This one is the one I was saying that they're going to announce today after we're done recording this. So we're going to give our prediction, which if we're right, we're right. If we're wrong, you know. So the finalists were Malcolm Brogdon of the Boston Celtics, Bobby Portis of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Emmanuel Quickley of the New York Knicks. So this one has been a close race between essentially Quickley and Brogdon. But I ended up giving, for my prediction, Quickley the advantage due to head-to-head matchups because both Quickley and Brogdon were pretty much identical in season averages. They both averaged 14.9 points, 4.2 rebounds. The only slight difference, like in the major stats, was the assist. So they both averaged around 3.5, you know? So when I was looking at this award, I went to the head-to-head because I was like, who do I give it to? do you go to the player that has a better team or the player that performed better? And then I was like, wait, they both perform kind of the same. So I was like, let me go to head to head. So in this one, I gave the edge to Quickly because in head to head matchups, they played 4 times this year. Quickly played in all 4 games between the Celtics and the Knicks. Brogdon only played in 3. But I gave like I said, I have Quickly winning this one because compared to Brogdon, Quickly had 20.5 points, 2.8 assists, 4.5 rebounds, 1.8 steals, and 0.5 blocks. So Brogdon had 15.3 points, 4.3 assists, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal, like averages. So the only stat that he averaged more in was assists, Brogdon over Quickly. So that's why I have Quickly winning this one. What about you?
I was surprised that Norman Powell wasn't in the final 3 just because he led the league in scoring off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going for him, but then if these are our last 3 finalists, since you picking Quickly, I'm just going opposite of you, and I'm going Brogdon.
Someone's got to be
make
right,
this
right?
a little interesting.
Yeah.
So you can't say at least one of us is going to be right on this podcast. So, but that one I think is a very close race, and I feel like it go to either or. And I do feel who's the third runner up? It's not even Norman Powell anymore.
No, it's
Bobby Portis. And I was surprised. I mean, Powell's leading the league in points off the bench. I felt like at least should be in the final 3.
That's normally what they look at.
Yeah, the points like the main thing they look at off the bench too. So, because I mean, everyone says 6-man of the year, someone comes off the bench and produces on the offensive end to carry the load while the starters are on the bench. So that's why I was a little bit surprised. But yeah, we'll just go Brogdon.
So we'll see in about an hour or so which one of us was right. Yeah. So we got 3 awards left real quick. So we have the most improved player, aka the George Mikan Trophy. So we have Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. So for this one, it's most improved player, not who's the best player. So I went with Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. Just because it's kind of like what happened last year with John Morant. He won most improved player, but you're the second overall pick. You're expected to improve, right? So it's all like, so I feel like that you can say the same thing about Shai this year. Obviously, he wasn't the second overall pick, but I'm saying we saw the improvement last year, and obviously we expected him to get even better this year. And then you can somewhat say the same about Jalen Brunson in terms of his contract. He got a big payday from the Knicks. So he was expected to contribute. So I feel like Lauri Markkanen, he obviously got traded to the Jazz. He didn't have the same expectations as Brunson and SGA had, like I just mentioned. So and he became Lauri also was an All-Star this year. So that's why if we're talking most improved player, I feel like you have to go Lauri. So he's my pick. What about you?
Definitely agree that SGA shouldn't get it because he was already great last year and he improved. So I want to say the most improvement from last year to this year. So I do agree that Lauri, because he got didn't expect. No, I don't think anyone in the league expected this guy to be an All-Star, and he totally balled out for the Jazz. I will say Brunson should have been an All-Star, so that should maybe go into a factor. And he's leading his team into the playoffs, so I could also see that him getting the award. I think it's close, but like you said, from the most improvement from last season to this season is Lauri, so I'm going to give it to him as well.
All right, and so the next award we got, Rookie of the Year, a.k.a. the Wilt Chamberlain Trophy. The finalist for that one was number 1 overall pick, Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic, Walker Kessler, another Utah Jazz player, and Jalen Williams, Oklahoma City Thunder. They actually have 2 Jalen Williams, so this is the one that they refer to as J-Dub, so Jalen Williams. So for this one, I feel like this one's easy. Paolo Banchero, number 1 pick for a reason. Averaged 20 points per game this year, almost 7 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. So I feel like they already kind of announced it without officially announcing that Paolo won it. Because I don't know if you saw it, it should have been a unanimous if it wasn't for that the beat writer from Salt Lake City. And it was all like, obviously some of his bias had to come into that where he was like, well, Walker Kessler did this, and that. And it was all like, come on, man. You really think he was a better rookie this year than Paolo Banchero? This one should have been unanimous. What do you got to say?
You got to take that guy's vote away because that's atrocious
Yeah,
that he would say
yeah.
Kessler over Ventura. I mean, the stats go for itself. He's also almost averaging 1 steal a game on 42% shooting. Not the
Hmm.
best 3-point shooter, so he's going to improve that, and a half a block a game. So just easy by the numbers, and just the eye test, just the best rookie
Yeah,
this year. Like, you don't
exactly.
even got to look at the numbers. You just watch a game, you could see it's the best. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes I watch games and I forgot he was rookie. It's like, man, this guy's really good. Like, give him
Yeah,
another 2-3 years, easy all-star.
definitely.
So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, so Paolo Banchero should win that one easily. And the last award we have on here, the MVP, aka the Michael Jordan Trophy. The three finalists seem like have been the same exact finalists the last couple of years. So Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, and Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. So for this one, Nugget fans are going to hate me. I have Joel Embiid winning this one. He's averaging 33.1 points this year, which was first in the NBA, 10.2 rebounds, over 4 assists, almost 2 blocks and a steal. And, the 76ers might have been third in the East. You could say the Nuggets were first. But when you're looking at overall record, that's not the Nuggets, sorry. The Sixers actually had a better record than the Nuggets. So by a game, but, you could still say that Joel Embiid led the Sixers to a better record than the Nuggets. But the only reason why they're lower in the standings is due to the conferences, obviously. So that's nothing to take away from Jokic. He had 24.5 points, 11.8 rebounds, almost 10 assists. I feel like that's why he kept playing towards the end. He wanted to average that triple-double, stat padding.
Mm-hmm.
But he finished with 9.8 assists, 0.7 blocks per game, and 1.3 steals. So I feel like Joel Embiid should be able to win this one. I feel like he should have won it last year. And obviously, Jokic won it, even though the Nuggets were the 6th seed. We mentioned this on a previous episode. It's like, why did he win it if he was the 6th seed? We've seen when Kobe would win MVPs back then because the Lakers were the 7th seed. So what's the difference now? But it's all like, I don't know. Who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, I agree. I have Joel as well. I thought he should have won it last year. And the funny thing is, I feel like Jokic overall is a little bit better this year.
Yeah,
I feel like Joel should have won it last year, so I feel like a lot of it's the
yeah,
voter fatigue, and all this, and that's why they're switching up. I definitely don't think Jokic stat pads, but it was funny if you saw him in the reporters where someone asked him and he said, "Oh, well, it's easy when you're stat padding." That
yeah,
was just a funny response. But yeah, I think even though I think it's a close race between the two, and Giannis is playing like out of his mind this year as well, and that's just overlooked because like, oh, and Giannis just doing another Giannis here, so like
yeah,
I think the voter fatigue is really setting in, and I think any three of them deserve it, but I'm picking Joel because I just think he's going to get it this year. But I will say, moving forward, the NBA needs to implement some type of metrics for people to go by MVP, because every year it kind of seems to change.
hmm
It doesn't matter what seeding you are. Usually it's, oh, you have to be like a top 3 seed, and then now it's like, oh, you don't have to be a top seed. Oh, well, if you average a triple double, then you're MVP. Like
yeah,
it's switching every year, and I feel like if they just get
hmm
some type of metrics to give people a better understanding of what makes an MVP, then we'll understand. Because at the end of the day,
yeah,
if you say best player in the league, who's the best player in the league? Kobe should have won it 7 times, MJ 8 times, LeBron
yeah,
9 times. But it's not the best player in the league; it's the most valuable. So give us what makes the most value. Give us some metrics
yeah,
to help us kind of understand it. Because each year it's kind of like a coin toss between like 3 people. But
yeah.
all of them deserve it. But I'm going Joel for this year, just like you.
Yeah, if it's gonna be the best player, they gotta kind of rename it. It's all like, okay, MVP means most valuable, not who was the best player. So I feel like I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'd give it to Embiid this year just because he should have had it last year, and like obviously his not just
Mm-hmm.
because he should have had it last year. His stats back up why he should be MVP, but it's all like if he would have won it last year, I would have been okay with him giving it to Jokic this year. But we had
Mm-hmm.
Giannis win it 2 years in a row, followed by Jokic now, who's won it the last 2 years in a row. It's all like, so is Embiid going to win it this year and next year? And before they start giving it to someone else, like, who knows? But
Yeah.
I feel like Embiid should win this. And like, I see a lot of fans saying, oh, he cried his way to this MVP this year. It's all like, that's kind of their way of coping for Jokic not winning it
Mm-hmm.
again this year. But I don't know. We'll see. Anything else you have to say before taking off?
No, I think Any of them deserve it. And then before taking off, Lakers better win this series. And they're going to win this series. Actually, not better. They're winning. And my prediction was in 6 games, and I still feel confident in that. And at the end of the day, we need Lakers to keep going in playoffs, so to keep me happy.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. That's it for today's show. Thank you, Dan, for taking time out of your day to come onto this podcast once again. And to everybody else who's watching or listening, make sure to check us out on social media. You can also find these podcasts on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube. So just check us out wherever you like to. And thank you for taking time out of your day to tune into this episode. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys all on the very next episode of the Sports Planet Podcast.
Life is good, I've decided. Now I'm away from this violence. Out there is